Well, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Still, a lot of people are joining us, so my proposal is to wait 1 more minute. And let me, in the meantime, play a video for you. So we will start then after the brief video.
We are JOA. We create innovating air filtration solutions. Give us your most complicated challenges. We love solving them. Cases with valuable products that need to be prepared during filtration. Challenges with explosive dust and high humidity, or when ultrafine dusts pose a risk. These are some examples of challenges that JOA can help you with. With our GCM modeling, we already tested all scenarios before installing the technology. This way, you'll know beforehand that everything works, and you'll never have unwanted surprises. Welcome to JOA. We innovate air.
Well, good morning, good afternoon. Let's start. Welcome to our second webinar of 2021. Topic of today is reduced explosion zoning by effective dust and vapor extraction. I'm here today with Tony Roepman. He's our Chief of Engineering. He will introduce himself later on. Hope everybody is healthy and safe in these still challenging times. This is a great confirmation. We see the attendees growing with each webinar, which is a motivation for our specialism, namely air and particles, especially dust, vapor, and aerosols. And why is it so crucial? So, of course, it's improvement for health and safety of the operators, but also in the angle of safety, the topic of today, and of course, energy reduction and reducing the carbon footprint. But again, today it's about reducing the explosion zoning by effective dust and vapor extraction. Why is it important? So, of course, improve safety, reduce the risks involved, and potentially lower the cost involved. So what's the buildup of this 25-30-minute webinar? Our aim is, again, to keep it short and powerful. First, setting the scene. What is it exactly? The context will be addressed by Tony, especially legislation, our approach on influencing the explosion zones, how to select the right equipment, and of course some real-life examples of application in our target industries. And the aim is to have time to address several of your questions. So again, please use our chat function. Let's make it interactive. Okay, good. Well, thanks. Tony, floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Bas, for the introduction. Thanks, everybody, for joining this webinar today about reducing explosion zoning. Today, we will be talking about ATEX legislation and the different responsibilities, and especially the zoning. So I will start my presentation. I think everybody can see it now. So what will be the program of today's webinar? We're going to talk about the legislation, the ESD, the explosion safety document, especially zoning, how to influence the zones, short step to equipment, and applications, some examples from JOA. So let's start with the legislation. So basically, every company which is working with explosive material will come in contact with ATEX directives. So as a company, you will be dealing with two main directives then. That's the 1999/92/EG, known as the Social Directive, which describes responsibilities and steps for a company to establish a safe working environment for your employees. So you see here, the drive is really safety. And next to this social directive, the 2014/34/EU directive comes in, known as the Equipment Directive. This directive describes the minimum safety requirements for equipment used in ATEX zones or equipment which explosible material is handling. Here you see the directive is therefore more driven by conformity. Now you can also see in the slide what's the relation between those two directives, but in a way you can see the marking and the working zones is handled by the 1999, which is the company itself, where the zones are created and documented, and in these zones you will see in the equipment directive which kind of ATEX equipment you need in those zones. So that's really, let's say, the relationship to these two directives. What is an ESD? So one of the most important topics of the social directive is the ESD, the explosion safety document. So since 2003, every company is mandatory to have this document, which needs to be updated every 3 to 5 years or after a change in process or installation. In this document, you describe and record the explosion risks for all workplaces within your company. So in short, identify the sources, create the zoning, carry out an ignition source assessment, do a risk assessment, and evaluation of the taken precautions, create working procedures, instructions, and training. And this is all to maintain the level of safety. Of course, this is a mouthful, but today we will focus on the opportunities we have at the predefined ATEX zones. Because ATEX is all about preventing explosive atmospheres, eliminating ignition sources, or if that is not possible, limiting the effects of an explosion by controlling it. And also in that particular order. So let's go to the next slide. 1 moment. So now, influencing the zones. Today we are highlighting 3 aspects within our scope of supply where JOA can make a difference in the zoning class or the zoning shape and size. Here in this image, you can see the relation between those 3 aspects. We have ventilation, which is basically diluting the working area to avoid explosive concentrations. Second is the source extraction, eliminating explosive atmospheres at the source by extracting the explosive atmosphere to dilute the concentration to below lower explosion limit. And third, housekeeping, by cleaning on regular basis using a CVC system twice each shift, for example. Very important in this, all these measures need to be carried out with the appropriate operational reliability to ensure the safe situation. And that will also be recorded in the ESD. What we see is that we have 2 situations, a dust situations or a vapor and gas situations. And for the dust situations, we can influence the zoning by housekeeping, extraction, or combination. What we see at vapor and gas situations, we see that we can have extraction or ventilation or both. So we will zoom in to those aspects. 1 moment here. So first, ventilation. So ventilation is all about dilution. So if we take, for example, on the right, a secondary gas source, which normally relates to zone 2, but where there's no ventilation in the building, we can end up with even a higher class. resulting in a zone 1 for the whole area. Underneath you see when we create a forced ventilation with the highest operational reliability, we get a zone 2 with a radius of 1 meter around a relatively small zone. So of course we are showing some extremes, we know that, but it shows you the opportunities we have here. Go to the next slide. So second, we have source extraction. So ventilation at the source itself. Again, we see the zoning of the entire building without any form of ventilation or extraction. But if we would build an efficient source extraction system with a high operational reliability, a secondary gas source, which normally creates zone 2 and without any ventilation and zone 1, this could then be changed to only a small neglectable zone 2 at the source, at the extraction area, surrounded by a no-zone area. So from the zone, the complete area, to a much smaller zone around the source itself. Again, you see here what the opportunity is. In this situation, it's practically the same. From a primary source with a 1 meter radius, zone 21, surrounded by a 3 meter radius, zone 22, we can go to a no-zone area. And that if we install a source extraction system with the highest level of operational reliability. So here you see again, from a relatively big zoning area to a no zone at all. And that's mainly the message we want to give here. So then third, number 3 is the housekeeping. And let me show you this. Yeah. In terms of the dust layers, due to settling of dust over time, we see also opportunities for the working area. If dust settles and the area will not be properly cleaned in a short period of time, the whole area will be zone 21. But if we organize and facilitate a proper cleaning cycle, we can reduce this zone to 3 meter radius around the settlement. Or we can even create a no-zone area if dust settlements can be cleaned right away by the operators, which of course need to be very well instructed. Well, these were the 3 main aspects that you should take into account while you're working on your safety plans. So these were the 3 aspects we will want to discuss with you and to create some awareness. For now, I will make a short step to equipment that will provide these opportunities. So you can see here that the selecting and designing these systems take the right effort for keeping all those different characteristics in mind. You see here they are summed up. It's quite a lot. So therefore, every situation, process, and material can have its own solution. So you see here all the characteristics you need to find, or you need to find the right solution for the job, which can become pretty complex. For extraction system, we can protect the system and the area depending on the situation in multiple ways. So thinking of the listed methods, isolating, venting, pressure resistant, suppression, or even inertion, or a combination of these methods. For now, I will show you some examples of what JOA has built over time. Here you see the applications at the source itself. On the left side, you see a JOA deflector hood. It's a patented hood for multiple reasons. In the middle, you see a JOA ventilation. In this case, it's a local push-pull system where we push in fresh air and extract the polluted air. And on the right, you see some different JOA source extractions hood in multiple markets. So looking at the equipment itself, so basically the driver of the systems, on the left side, you see one of our filters. This filter is equipped with a ventilation or a vent bursting disc on the filter itself, and it's isolated by using, on the right side, a diverter that will keep your let's say facility safe from having an explosion in the filter. And on the left side you see a red Ventex valve, a fast acting valve that will prevent the explosion from propagating to your fan. In the middle we also have opportunities to install suppression. You can have suppression on our filters and also as a barrier in our headers. So that in that way we avoid an explosion in the filter to developing his pressure buildup. On the right side you see a pressure shock resistant filter. In this particular case it's pressure shock resistant for 10 bars. And this filter is capable of containing an explosion. And of course, on the inlet and the outlet, it will be isolated, so there will be barriers. For the housekeeping, we also have an application for the CVC system. This is a relatively big one. We also have smaller ones that can be placed within the facility. On the left side, you see here some degritters. Then we're going into the main filter, and the filter bags can be changed from the top. And the filter is equipped with a bursting disc and explosions isolation barriers. On the right side, you see an example of how this looks like in the facility. So on multiple locations, you have access to your vacuum cleaning points. So for now, well, this was already the end of the webinar, with of course still a lot of questions, but see this webinar as an introduction. Our goal for now is to create awareness, and next to that, of course, a safe environment. So thank you for watching this webinar, and for now I'll say back to Bas.
Well, thanks, Tony. Thanks for giving us a brief overview of reduced explosion zoning and how we can do that when we talk about dust and vapors. Let's address the questions. First one was from Jasper. So, Tony, you shared some examples. Can you give an overview on the markets they were built in?
Yeah, we have multiple markets also in the pictures. You can see it's plastic related, it's tobacco related, it is toner related, it's food related, it's pharma related. So yeah, just out of my out of the box, out of the mind, it's like 5 markets that I can now.
By Anani asked the question. Bas, in the beginning you mentioned cost savings. Can you elaborate? Well, of course, thank you. First of all, when you reduce the zones properly, you can use less and lighter ATEX equipment. And then possibly you can reduce your maintenance, cleaning, which has a positive effect on uptime. And well, another angle is when you have less and lighter equipment, concerning ATEX, it can also save you some insurance costs. So 3 angles on the costs. It differs, of course, in the situation. Any remarks on that, Tony? Any add-ons? Did I miss anything?
No, I think you're fine with that. Yeah.
Good. Second question or third question from Mark. He mentions, for me, it's a challenge to create awareness on site. Do you recognize this? Yes. I think you mentioned briefly something about that, Tony. Can you elaborate on creating awareness?
Yeah, I'm working on, let's say, for multiple projects. So I am also working on site. And I see people struggling with the awareness of this topic that will in management, but also at the operators. Recently, we have experienced an explosion in one of the systems, and by doing the investigation to find the root cause, they find out that there was a small explosion occurred directly at the process, which propagates throughout our routing and our piping network towards a filter. Luckily, this system was a JOA system and equipped with the right isolation barriers. So in this case, it was a diverter, and the diverter burst open and saved the filter. So they could relatively easy get their machines and get their process running again. But these kind of experiences creates a lot of awareness at the operators themselves. So in a way, it's not a very it's sad that we need such experiences to create this awareness. But of course it can happen. And the root cause in this case was they had maintenance on one of the processes, and during this changeover, they forgot to reconnect an earthing cable, which was the ignition source for a small explosion at the source, which propagates through our pipe network. But we also have sites where we have databases with a lot of other happenings over the years, and maybe we can share that
that's a good idea.
Create more awareness at your operators, but maybe also the management.
Yeah. Okay. We will share such a link. Good idea, Tony. So to you all, of course, we will share a replay of this webinar. We will share the slides, but also include then the link with the database of and hopefully, it's not the, but hopefully it helps to create awareness on your site. Okay, good. Let's see more questions. Let's address one, seeing the time. ESD, do you write it? Brief question. Yes, we have partnerships, and yes, we address this important report and collaborate on it. So brief question, brief answer. Okay, well, let's close out. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciated it for you to attend. You will hear from us. And then, if you have any further questions, please reach out. We are very aware that it often requires a tailor-made solution for your situation. So let's collaborate on it, and let's hope to speak to you soon then. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.